The Sega Genesis Mini is coming out in September 2019. Like, how crazy is that we're getting yet another console that's a classic mini console. Sega announced last night / this morning, depending on where you are, that they are going to be releasing a Sega Genesis Mini / Mega Drive Mini in September of this year, which is absolutely crazy because who expected it to be this quickly? Quite frankly, I did not expect it to be this quickly, let alone to be kind of looking like a good system. Now, we'll get into the details a little later, but I wanted to talk about this quite frankly because the Super Nintendo and the Nintendo Classic / Mini, whatever you want to call it, those things were amazing. They did phenomenal and sold like crazy. Like, they were so famous that people made knockoffs and sold these, and these things sold pretty well. But Sony decided to make theirs for the PlayStation 1 Classic, and honestly it fell flat on its face and no one wanted to touch it. So I wanted to talk about that a little bit here and tell you guys what kind of I'm thinking, but also bring you some facts that if you didn't know about it. So I'm gonna pull my phone out here, and they've got a website up that says a few cool things, and I'm really excited about it, but at the same time we'll see kind of what we get out of it, and we'll talk about my opinion just a little bit later on. Let's get to what it says on their website. The Sega Genesis Mini, September 19, 2019. It's a miniature Sega Genesis replica, includes 40 legendary games. 40 is quite a bit if you think about the SNES and the NES Classic. Those only had 20, and 40 games is kind of a lot. And it also says it's a ready to plug and play. The iconic Genesis console returns in a slick, miniaturized form along with 2 classic 3-button control pads, and the control pads look exactly like they did back for the Genesis, except they are USB, so that's kind of cool if you emulate and you play games, especially on like a PC or like a Raspberry Pi. This could be cool for you guys to play Sega Genesis games. So I thought that was pretty cool. It's ready to plug and play out of the box. One thing I liked about this, it came with a console, 2 controllers, a USB power adapter, which the Sony PlayStation 1 Classic didn't have, which is very lame. Then we go on and say that it has the power cable, of course, and then an HDMI cable, which is something I think is cool because whenever you can find stuff like that, it's awesome to get everything you need in one box, and you don't have to go out and buy the power brick or go out and buy another HDMI for this thing. So it's pretty cool. But we're getting down to the games, and I'm pretty stoked for what I've seen, at least this far. There's some very, very good games. So we're going to talk about that right here. It says there's 40, but there's only, what, 10 that have been revealed, which is kind of cool because this kind of gives me hope, because these are some good games. First off, you've got Echo the Dolphin. I played Echo the Dolphin so much. Like, I have it obviously on the Sega Genesis, but that's a fun game and it'll be cool to play. They got Castlevania Bloodlines, which I don't believe I actually have. I think that's kind of an expensive game, so I just don't have it. I haven't ran across it. They have Space Harrier 2. I've never played the second one, but I played the first one and it was a lot of fun. Shining Force, which is a very awesome game if you did not know, is on the system. Then Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine, which is a good game. It's going to be awesome to have that. I'm really stoked about that. Then you got your ToeJam and Earl, which is a great game. Like, they just re-released it on the Switch, and I had a bunch of fun with that. Check out that review if you haven't checked it out. You got Cosmic Zone, which is yet another awesome game. You've got, obviously, Sonic the Hedgehog. They couldn't make this without Sonic the Hedgehog, obviously. Then you've got Altered Beast, which is pretty great. And then to wrap it up is Gunstar Heroes, which is, yet again, great games. Like, every one of these games is either a good or a great game. So I'm very excited for what we've got and seen so far. Other than that, it just kind of says it's rated T for teen, and nothing much more there. And I wanted to talk about this system because it looks like it might actually be a good system. Now, one thing I will say is that I hope that this comes with a good UI, because Nintendo's UI was great. Sony's sucked big time, and I think that was another downside of what they did and why they didn't do as well. And the games are obviously a big deal as well. Those are what sell these consoles, and if we can get a Sega Genesis / Mega Drive, I keep saying Master System, I gotta stop doing that, but if we can get something like that that has 40 actual games that are loaded up on it, that's going to be very awesome. I don't know if you could tell, but back here I have my Neo Geo Mini Classic, whatever you want to call it, and I love it. It has a bunch of cool games, and it's fun to play because you can take it with you places. But it has good games and the UI is good, which makes it well worth it. Now, I'm hoping this console is under $100. I think 100 is probably the max I'd be willing to spend. But like the PlayStation Classic dropped from 100 to 40 within like months. So be aware that that does happen. If these things don't sell well, they'll be cheap very soon. So be on the lookout. If you want one, see how they sell. If you don't, pre-order one, and then maybe you can pick one up for cheaper. But I will say this looks promising, and I'm very excited about it. Honestly, the Sega Genesis is a console that I think I had as a kid. Like, I remember playing it as a kid, but I don't remember having the console. So maybe I got it from a friend or something later on. I don't know how. For some reason, I guess I should ask my parents. Like, I remember playing with my dad, but I don't like remember us having a huge collection, so, or a bunch of games, so I don't know how that went. But I do remember having the 64 and playing the crap out of it, so like, I know I had this stuff, but it just blows my mind because I've played some. I keep all those games down towards the bottom, and you guys can't really see them normally when I show off the collection, but I do have a bunch of Sega games. Like, I'm looking down here at like 50 plus Genesis games, like just Genesis games. So I know that I'm very looking forward to this, and I will hopefully be talking about it. Like, I hope they put Aladdin on this, because I think if you don't put a bunch of Disney games on this, you may be missing out, because Disney games back in these days were awesome, especially for the Sega Genesis. So please, Sega, put some of the Disney games on here. Somehow work your magic and get their blessing, because that would be so awesome. Now, I know there's some games that definitely need to be on here, and I'll probably talk about that in a later video once they announce all the games. But I wanted to bring to your attention that it's coming, and it's not an AT Games. Like, I know a lot of people are like, oh, well, I have a Sega Genesis Model 3 or an AT Games version. This is actually a Sega version. It sounds like it's going to be really awesome, and I'm very excited about it. So hopefully we can see this, and hopefully I can get my hands on one and play it, and it has a ton of games. So with that being said, I just want to say that I think this is going to be cool. Now, I still haven't picked up a PlayStation 1 Classic. I gotta find one for 25 bucks so I can hack it, but I'm just waiting for it. So hopefully this will happen with the Genesis. It'll come out and it'll be awesome, and then we'll be able to put more games on it that it's missing. But I wanted to let you guys know that, hey, this is coming and it looks interesting, and I'm excited about it. So you should definitely check into it. There is a website for it, so check that out if you're interested at all. But I want to say thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and make sure you hit that bell notification, because it lets you know when I put up new videos. With that being said, make sure you have a good day.